So I want to congratulate you once again for making it through the Google Ads Dive-In program, right? We've taught you all about setting up the basic Google Ads search accounts, talked about even expanding that into some remarketing to really make your conversion levels go through the roof. We even talked incredibly about, all the tracking methods and making sure you can measure your success as you scale and you go into these other aspects of the Google Ads platform. Now we're going to talk about display and content marketing, right? The need for display and content marketing is all about creating more of that low-hanging fruit. What we talked about in the Google Ads Dive-In program was capturing that low-hanging fruit with that direct response traffic through via keywords or in-market audiences, right? And then being able to increase that and make sure we continue to stay in contact with those customers until we can convert the ones on the fence with Google remarketing. Now we're going to talk about creating more of that low-hanging fruit, generating more of that top and middle funnel traffic, and being able to phrase the typical types of content, and also understanding what types of content are at our basically fingertips, where we can contact at each one of those levels, is what this next slide deck is all about. It's all about how big, what, where, and why. So we're going to give you some very, very valuable material about exactly where and when you can contact these customers and the different modalities, right? So moving on to the first slide, right? I just want to talk about the agenda, right? First of all, we're going to talk about why content marketing. What's the need for it? Why is it not the perception a lot of times in my experience with business owners is that, all I really need to do is put my ad out on Google and everybody will come flocking to me, right? But there's a whole lot of perception that has to be created behind that. There has to be brand trust. There has to be actual even brand awareness, right? Where they know your particular product or service is even available, or that you do that. And you also have to kind of create that trust that you're not a fly-by-night service. And all of that is done at more of those top and middle funnel sections by creating the content and showing the imagery and the consistency throughout those interactions, right? And we're going to talk about next the types of marketing, the different types of modalities of formats and imagery to video to email marketing to blogging, all of that is all at your fingertips in order to make sure that you're creating a positive experience and furthering them down the customer purchase funnel, right? Then we're going to talk about the content marketing tools. What networks and tools are at your disposal to really key in on these types of contents? Then we're going to look at the creative formats, whether it be like video, imagery, and all the available options that are out there, as well as the creative size, right? It's very, very important. And it's also very, very important even for your own sanity to be able to know these, because it's very frustrating to create the perfect ad visually and you're so happy about it, and then all of a sudden it's off by a pixel or two. And the ad networks and the specs for each one of those ad networks is very important. So we're going to break those down. And then I've also created a very helpful cheat sheet that I'm going to give you at the end to make sure that you can actually have this, at your fingertips without having to go back through the material or having to go through and search out any of the help centers to understand what's available. Now, why content marketing, right? Content marketing generates over 3 times as many leads as outbound marketing, and it's 62% less of the cost, okay? Not only that, many of our products, they're going to fall into the target demographic of 18 to 49-year-old people, and most of them are getting their news online. They're interacting with apps such as CNN, ABC, and even Yahoo News is one of the most highly trafficked sites on the web, right? And we can actually put ads on there with very, very quality, content marketing and digital image ads as well. Even some of the different formats can be produced in video complex on like CNN and ABC, right? Small businesses with blogs get 126% more lead growth than small businesses without it. And again, this is just you giving content to answer your particular user or your demographics pain points, right? It's keying in and writing specific content to help further the relevance. And again, the other thing that this backs into is just an SEO component, right? You're going to be able to have more additional content that's going to be more relevant to the ads that you're writing and you're actually producing and the keywords that you're advertising behind. Content marketing rakes in conversion rates 6 times higher than other methods. And again, there's a couple different reasons for that, which we're going to cover throughout this, but the main one is just the overall ability to have such a wider breadth of reach than particular, classic search, basically. So the most effective SEO technique actually is the content writing. That's more goes back to the blogging about content, right? And being able to have your stories linked to other websites and pulled across that. Now, 45% of the global internet users aged 25 to 34 listen to podcasts, right? And those are all opportunities for you to either advertise on or just create your own, depending on what your business model is, right? And then video is trusted by 40% of millennials, and half of those aged 18 to 24 would stop what they're doing to watch a new video. Now, that's very, very important whenever you're talking about advertising on social networks or any content networks where they're actively engaged in that type of content that they're searching for, right? You literally have to reach out and grab them and do something from stopping them at a full sprint. They're mid thought process. They're mid reading about, puppies or, the cutest kitten videos that are out there. So what are you going to do? And how is your image ad or even how is your text ad going to pull them away from this video where they're just enthralled with these cute creatures, right? It's probably not, unless it's incredibly engaging with an incredibly, high value offer. Or again, it's some sort of video content that can compete. So not only that, like if you can have a particular video content to go head to head against video content, and you're able to actually provide such a relevant tool or source or solution to a pain point that they've previously looked up or discovered or researched, then you have that much higher likelihood of being able to pull them out of that race and actually get them to engage with your product. And Google says people use YouTube mainly for solutions, entertainment, and learning new things. So 2 of those are incredibly important. And even that third one, depending on what your market is, can be entirely, invaluable to your success online. Again, Home Depot is a great example of a particular advertiser that utilizes YouTube in a very, very creative solution or learning more new things kind of modality, right? They've got their entire web page or their entire YouTube page is dedicated to teaching people how to do things, right? They teach you how to plant certain roses. They'll teach you how to repair a leaky bath sink or, put in a new tub or put in a new toilet, right? And it's a great psychology because again, what's going to happen if you're that do-it-yourselfer and you're like, hey, I really want to do this. They're going to provide that solution. They're going to build brand equity and trust by providing you that solution. And when you go try and buy the material and the tools necessary to complete what they taught you, you're probably going to go to Home Depot. And guess what happens? Guess who really works really, really well on those type of ads? If you're maybe a plumber or a home services type guy, what happens if they break it or they mess it up? They're probably going to call you. So there's some really, really good strategy to kind of piggyback on top of some of these brands and even some of the other strategies in order to make sure that you can actually, provide a service that's relevant to that particular customer at the time. So think about that whenever we're kind of going through this. If you have any very, very visually, appealing ads, GIF ads, videos. GIF ads they're kind of hard. I haven't really got a whole lot of them to work online, but the videos is one thing that if you have the capabilities to use them on any ad platform, whether or not it be any through the display campaigns and the responsive ads, or you're talking about utilizing some YouTube directly, think about targeting, solution sources such as maybe Lowe's or Home Depot. If you offer any home services that, because a lot of people have bigger egos or bigger thoughts than than their skill sets or their, cognitive ability can apply. And, they may try and go fix the toilet, right? But what, 50, 60, probably 80% of them are realistically going to break it. So who are they going to call then, right? They're going to call the plumber, or they're going to call the person that, has the necessary skill sets to fix their problem. Now there's direct response versus content marketing. Direct response is all the search engines, right? It's people that are looking for your product. They're looking to actually, engage immediately. Now, content marketing is a little bit different. Again, it's something where you literally are trying to pull these people out of the race, right? They're running around the track, they're in first, and they're all engaged in all about the stories about the cute puppies or the kittens that are just doing the cutest thing with the ball of string. And you have to literally reach out and grab them. So with content marketing, you have to make sure that it's extremely relevant and tightly targeted to that user's behavior and something that's going to provide value. And again, just like we covered in the last slide, some of the best stuff to do that with lately is the video, right? Whether or not you're talking about being able to target YouTube or target the display network, more and more sites are offering video opportunities on their paid ads that you can take advantage of through GDN and the YouTube network as well. As we see on this page, loading networks, some of the sites, again, it's a little bit pixely, but you can literally target like money.com, History Channel, Cosmopolitan, Men's Fitness, right? The Golf Channel, CMT, Fandango. So you've got some new movies or something. Yahoo, right? These are all sites that you can target, where the traditional sites is a little bit less of a network. In fact, the display network is about 100 times larger than what Google search is. But Google search, again, has the advantage of you literally have that customer where they're in process, they're in the buying process, buying mode, right then and there, because they're trying to find it, right? Very few customers that are on Google search are in either very few are at the top of funnel stage. Some of them may be in the research phase still, but you can still impact that by longer tail keywords and more blog-based content that is still it's going to come from a lot of this content marketing efforts, right? Where search is typically and traditionally more mid to bottom funnel, where all the top to mid funnel is going to be the display targeting. So that's where you're going to use to really gain the awareness on, associating your new golf club or your new putter by advertising on the golf channel. So some of the different content marketing tools that are out there, again, you have social media, right? A lot of people are this is kind of the big hype right now with all the courses and with everybody, trying to just advertise from clicks and shares. I think with the conversion metrics that they've started going to, I think these are going to be much more valuable as well for e-commerce sites and, lead gen as well as we get down the road. Blogging, it's an excellent source for getting your content and your informational services and just expertise out to the masses, right? It's also a great capability for you to have content that's shared and create backlinks. And then additionally, it gives you more authority within the particular space that you're offering services in or products, because you're actually sharing information, whether it be, unique information about the construction, whether it be about the process, the helpful benefits. This is all going to be additional valuable information that a lot of times you're going to get some free traffic off of. Email is probably one of the highest converting ones as well. And these can be very visual as well, where you're including, video streams or video sequences, or you may have an email drip campaign that talks about different value props as you work them down, or even like a video series where you're talking about maybe Google Ads, right? Where you have, hey, this is how to your top 5 things you should do before you do paid ads. And I'm going to give you one at a time through an email sequence. Podcasts, those are really, really popular right now. And it's just a great way of giving some really free for kind of organic content, because I know even with me, a lot of times I love getting on podcasts with different people that I've done interviews with, and just the creative juices and stream just really flow really free form. And I think the authenticity is why they're so popular today. And it's definitely something, you don't really necessarily have to have a true visual format for the podcast. One of the things that I've seen that's done really, really well, Thrive Courses actually, who helped me with mine, they've done one where they just sit down and they have conversations, and then they have kind of some static imagery with like a little sound bar across the bottom, right? You don't have to be a master of videography to do a podcast, but it's definitely a way to get the authenticity of your service out there, along with building your authority by having a discussion and being able to create real-time and real-world solutions, right? Webinars, same process. They're really, really good for, getting out discussions and just your knowledge base to the overall community. And it's a little bit more closed format where it's not as free formed and people can, listen to them at a later date. Infographics are always one of the best things for visual content, right? To be able to walk somebody down through the information, imagery to help tell a story or diagram or process is what, infographic is. And it's like so many people are visual, right? And for me, instance, I'm much more of a visual learner than I am, just actually kind of listening to something. I can read something, and I love the format, with the notes, where if I was taking this, I'd be like, oh, great, I got social media, it gives me, what it is, but that may not appeal to everybody, right? They may like to see me talking here in the corner. So that's why it's better to understand how all of these can interact, or maybe you do an infographic about your blog and you talk about it, right, about on your podcast. And that's content that you can utilize one time, but you can repurpose, which is a very, very fundamental skill that you need to learn whenever you're talking about content marketing, that you can repurpose a lot of the same content across networks, but you want to make sure that certain networks, they require unique content, right? What works on Snapchat doesn't really work on, Instagram. They're two different formats, right? One is highly visual and highly video format based, clip based, I guess is what Snapchat is. Instagram has that, but it's definitely much more of a scrolling visual. Like the videos work well within the stories, but not so much within the actual feed, right? And then interactive content, anything that you can do to get them more ingrained and actually get them thinking about your product is always well, right? Like quizzes, games, content requiring the user to interact and engage. It basically puts them either to start thinking about product and the application of it through utilizing that quiz, or actually putting them in some sort of ownership role, which is always great. Now, what do you think that they normally look like, right? Like today's GDN ads really they have a bunch of different formats. They've got, the normal text ads that kind of reorientate an image. And then the stuff that's coming out now that they've started with, the responsive display ads are crazy visual, right? They can include shopping feeds in them. They can include accompanying imagery. You can also put videos in them. And a lot of what they'll do is they're going to utilize that smart learning to kind of roll them into a nice little ball, right? And that ball is going to be basically GDN, search network, and YouTube, even Gmail. And it's going to basically create that ad and utilize the smart learning to help follow that through. So they may interact originally with us on CNN, but then we may, show them a text ad that was created from that responsive GDN ad in their Gmail. And then ultimately, like we get to Yahoo and we show them an expanded creative ad that expands the video and shows the video. So the responsive ads and what they looked like in the past, where they were a little bit boring, even the text ads had a true tendency to be overshown because there was just more real estate available to them. Google has really done a good job with utilizing the smart and AI technology, that they don't really have that same overblasting complex, right? And they're not utilizing the cheaper formats. They're usually utilizing the higher impact, higher converting and engagement ads across networks, which is something I'm really excited about. And I think it's a really good for just about any customer that you've conquered the low-hanging fruit, right? Some of the smart ads are really, really great opportunities, and we're going to talk about those as we go down through the accelerated portion. They're just a great opportunity for you to be able to utilize, a very tight budget and utilize it across multiple networks and allow stuff that's a lot smarter than me, or maybe let's just say I would require a lot more data to make the kind of assumptions that they're making, right? So it's a lot of times you're able to scale campaigns and get them into these other networks at a cheaper cost with some of these smart campaigns, because of their capability of utilizing a lot more different data that we don't have access to. Right now, when we're talking about content ads versus display ads as well, you've seen kind of what they look like, but the native ads are they're even a different format with that altogether. They're going to look like more of a news story, right? It's going to be in line with the other news sections or the other stories or blog creations on that page. And it's literally the only kind of way that you can identify them is they'll say sponsored, out under the title. And that's on all networks, but they're more editorial content, long form editorial content that's designed to key in on a pain point, solve a solution, and expose that through, long form content and writing. And ultimately it typically sends to a form fill, or they'll jump you into some sort of webinar page, something to that effect is a lot of times how they're used, in the best context, at least, right? So the ad sizes, these are all the different common ad sizes, right? These are kind of what let's go back here. These are what are available in the majority of networks, right? 250. There's also a 1268 by 800, I think is what it is. That is what's utilized for the display stuff, and it's more what all the smart banners are, and we'll cover that as we get more into the smart campaigns. But banner sizes that perform the best are medium rectangle 300 by 250, large rectangle 336 by 280, leaderboard 728 by 90, the half page 300 by 600, and the mobile banner 320 by 100. And this is the orientation of how they look on the web pages whenever they show up. Right, you've got your top banner. Shows up at the top. The mobile banner shows down here at the bottom. The medium rectangle is going to be over there on the right-hand side. You have your skyscraper that's going to be on the bottom or on the sides, right? So the different video types that are available to us as well. You're going to have in-stream, right? Pre-rolls and videos can run YouTube video skippable after 15 seconds. Now that's changed actually where they're after 30 seconds. So they've just changed those where they are basically more of a longer true view. The outstream videos, they appear in banners for mobile web placement as banners in terrestrial, in feed, and native for apps. So these are going to be more expanded, right? Is how they're going to show up in your actual display campaigns. TrueView shopping ads, these are going to be incorporated within the shopping feed. So whenever you show the actual TrueView video up here, your shopping feed is going to display down below with relevant products that are related to the particular ad. TrueView in discovery is basically like YouTube search, right? Your bumper ads are 6-second pre-rolls that they can't skip through. They just happen mid-ad or before ads. They're more for like brand recall and branding campaigns more than anything. They're not ultimately that great in conversions, in my opinion. Just again, it kind of depends on what your strategy is, but I've always used the 6-second pre-rolls more for branding of stuff and brand recall, that just to kind of spur that top of mind awareness of particular brands. The YouTube masthead, it's really expensive. So I don't even know what to say on that one. Like, whenever I worked for Google, whenever I worked with Google at their ETO, like it was so much. It was like $175,000 to get it for an hour or a day. And like, it was just nuts. And then your in display is videos distributed across the Google Display Network on partner sites, right? So that's just going to be, your YouTube ads that are pushed out. They're actually not YouTube ads. They're created as display campaigns, and they're pushed out across the different websites that support video content. So now these next slides are just all about the ad networks, right? These are just the available ad networks. You've got Bing, Google and Bing, Yahoo, LinkedIn is a good partner network for some content marketing as well, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. These are content marketing vessels. Then you've got our spec sheet, right? This is the cheat sheet that I would definitely encourage everybody to print off and just put up on your computer, those kind of things, because it'll tell you the valuable metrics you need before you start creating display campaigns and don't have the proper ad size, just because it's kind of frustrating. And not only that, if you have somebody creating your ads and they create the wrong size, then you've wasted your money. So that's all about display and content marketing. Again, if you have any questions about this, hop into the Facebook group. I love talking about strategy, about display and content marketing. It's one of those things where people consider direct response, the most accurate, because it's that bottom funnel, lower funnel, and it's keyword driven, where the reality of it is if you really get creative and hyper focused on layering the targeting, very, very tightly with the tight message, then display can convert at just as high a rate. And you can actually even get above 1% CTRs pretty easily with the proper content creation and structure of the campaigns and proper targeting overlap. So I'm going to see you in the next lesson. We're going to dive more into the display targeting and how to get really these campaigns fired up and kicking on all cylinders to make your conversions go through the roof. We'll talk to you then.